On today's show, Dirk Nowitzki was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Isaac Harris was there. And we're going to react to our favorite parts of the entire night on today's Locked On Mavs.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for being locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor from Mavs.com, Studio 41, the Hall of Fame homie, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Listen, nobody else in this world is going to get me in a tie and no hat besides Dirk Nowitzki. You know, last time I wore a tie, I honestly don't know when.
Okay, the listeners need to know, you are a legitimate pastor. When's the last time you wore a tie?
Gosh, I mean, probably for some funeral.
Jesus can't get this man to wear a tie, but Dirk Nowitzki, German Jesus, basketball Jesus, can get him to wear a tie. Incredible. It was an incredible night. Even just watching it from home, you could just tell that this was a very special moment and even a special class, because think about all the different people that were there. You have the best German player of all time, the best Spanish player of all time, the best French player of all time. Dwayne Wade is the best of something. Greg Popovich, maybe the best coach of all time. Just an incredible, incredible class. What's your first takeaway? Being there, being in the room, hearing the speech, hearing everyone cheer for Dirk and his speech. What was your big takeaway?
Big takeaway, man. Got a little misty-eyed, seeing Dirk walk up there.
Yeah,
I actually had a really cool angle of the night. Media didn't have seats, so it was just kind of like, hey, find a spot. And I sat on some stairs at this like side angle, but I could see the whole family and Dirk's like reactions to the whole night. And I have so many different small stories I got to tell by the end of this pod that I think people will enjoy. And but I think just seeing Dirk walk up, and just he was a little nervous on his speech, and he had it mapped out pretty good and all of that, but just seeing his family front row, I've never seen, just so many people there, everyone connected to Dirk, I've never seen his parents. His parents were there front row. I mean, if you went down the front rows, Jessica, their kids, dad, mom, the Cubans, it was just so cool to see teammates there, just all supporting. I mean, see Rick Carlisle on row like 30, and just see all these guys throughout the building, men and women. That's meant a lot to Dirk. And like he's been saying this whole time, this is the capstone. This is the end of the first phase of his life, of the basketball world for him. And we saw it tonight. It was the ultimate cherry on top, and he is part of immortality now in the game of basketball, and he is enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And it's a beautiful moment.
There's so many things that stood out in this, and we're going to just go. This is going to be like a free-flowing. Isaac's going to share a bunch of stories. I'm going to share some stuff that I saw. But the thing that stood out to me, I really wanted to know, what was his speech? What was it? How did he put the context of his career? How did he thank people? What did he put? And he knocked it out of the park in a way that, it was just incredible. The first thing that stood out to me was he had this structure of these qualities he wanted to go through, the qualities that made him the player that he was, and the qualities that he values in himself, but mostly the qualities he values in other people. I thought his speech was so others focused that it was just so Dirk in the way that it was. But he started with creativity. He talked about Donnie Nelson, who wasn't able to be there. He lives in Maui. Hopefully him and his family are safe from all the fires and everything that's happening there. Incredibly difficult time for everyone in Hawaii and Maui right now. And then he also mentioned Steve Nash, who was up there and presented him as far as creativity. He mentioned competitiveness. That's when he talked about Jason Kidd. And then he talked about Pop, how Pop gave him that handwritten note after he won the 2011 finals. And that meant a lot to him. And then he talked about loyalty, and he talked about Mark Cuban. And the story about Mark Cuban, where Mark Cuban came up to him, and we knew this. We knew that Mark had come up to Dirk like the day after, or right when he bought the team, and said, "Hey, let's play one-on-one. I can play." And Dirk said, "I dunked it right on your head." And I don't know if he was just being Dirk and just being facetious, but I kind of hope that it was really true that he did dunk on Cuban's head at that point.
No, I thought that was one of the funniest moments of the night. I will say this: the amount of Mavs fans in the place was awesome.
Oh,
So and a lot of Lockdown Mavs listeners talking. So shout out to you guys.
the squad.
Oh my gosh, the squad, the Raccoon squad. Had a lady. I was looking for my notebook tonight. I lost my notebook at one point because yes, I was taking physical notes throughout this weekend, and I lost it. And
You didn't have internet, so.
And yeah, the internet was tough. And all of a sudden, I hear this Isaac, and I was like, "Whoa!" But anyway, we talked for it, and she's like, "I'm a Raccoon Squad member," and then she introduced me to her son and all of that. But I mean, like meeting somebody in the corner with the Dirk jacket on to taking a selfie on the red carpet with Lockdown Mavs listeners, like you guys represented tonight, and hopefully the broadcast picked up the chants in the room for Dirk because it was. I mean, there were a lot of Heat fans there too, obviously for Wade.
I was going to say, which one's louder? Because on TV, I think they were pretty close. The Heat ones were longer, and they started going, let's go Heat, blah, blah, blah. But which one do you think was louder in the room?
I think it's about equal in the room. I'd say it was a different – anyway, it was about the same in the room.
The other word that he brought up, creativity, competitiveness, loyalty, and then curiosity was another one. He was just dropping bars at times. Like, he's had so many – little things that he mentioned in his speech. Nothing really works without great preparation was just an incredible one that I kind of take in my life. And that's one that I'll continue on with. He also said that, stay curious and hungry, find your passion and work hard. That's a mantra or motto he lives. Yeah, and then the one that's going to be, that was awesome. The one that's going to be everybody's Instagram caption now that is, a quote that he got from somebody else, but when you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. That was like his mic drop line, like when he ended it. He's just dropping bars like at the end.
I was like, where did this come from? Like, I kind of like giggled whenever he dropped that and left. But that was great, man. Seeing his interactions and stuff on the front row with people. Once again, it's like seeing Dirk. And we're just being honest here. Some of the other people who are getting inducted, not a lot of us knew things about, right? Like
you're learning about them.
Yes. And it was awesome to hear about Coach Hickson and and all these guys of hearing from levels of D3 up through D1 and college basketball. And because reminder, this is Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame and it's all basketball, but to see Dirk front row and just like almost giddy for each person to where, I mean, just transparency. A lot of people, some people are in there kind of like zoning out a little bit, and just kind of doing their things. So some of the people, like, super long night, but through some people you might not know. Dirk just ear to ear, smiling, just shaking hands as the video's playing. He's coming and they're walking off. He's like congratulating each one. I'm like, can you not be nice just for like a little bit? Like, is that?
He wasn't nice in 2011. That's when he wasn't nice, right? Like he took the soul out of the Heat, and then that's when he wasn't nice.
All right, well, let's talk about what helps. What helps you beat traffic? What helps you beat traffic is when you put Dwayne Wade last so you can leave. That's what helps.
Tell everyone traffic. You texted me, but tell everybody when you left. When so Dirk was the second to last to go, and then Wade was the last to go. At what point did you leave?
After he said, "Hey, are my Heat fans in the house?" and I just got up, and I was the only person standing up, like leaving, and I just left. I left the whole theater. I was like, that's a wrap, and y'all can enjoy this speech. I'm out.
Wade had some good moments in his speech for sure. Is great with his dad and everything.
I'm just glad he had sleeves on for that one, because this guy, I swear he was sleeveless for half the weekend, and I saw. I don't want to out him too much, but they probably don't care. I was talking with Ben and Skin before the ceremony. We're talking on the red carpet, and I was like, "Hey, y'all are at the VIP like reception, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, because they're cool, they're big time, and they got to go to all the cool events."
I think they flew private to this. Like,
I think they did. Yeah, they're the best. And And Ben was like, yeah, Wade had a new sleeveless shirt on. And then I responded with, did he fall down and get back up again? So we had some, and then we were talking about, there's a project coming up that Wade's going to release that I think a lot of Mavs fans will probably partake in, or at least enjoy. And we were talking about how that would probably be the only thing that I'll listen of him from here on out. But
you missed his best line though. His best line was, it's been amazing to be here with, all these inductees. It's been great to celebrate. It's been a celebration for, a lot of us. For me and Dirk, it's been therapy.
Oh, that's great.
It's a great line.
It was fun. So Wade gets up and he misses Pops and Hammond's speeches because he was gone. And I was like, because him and Dirk got up, okay, and walked out kind of like together or like back to back. I'm like, what are they doing? Like they're just going to like chop it up somewhere in the back before gets to their spots. Well, then Dirk comes back and sits down with his family, and I'm like, all right. And then Pop stuff starts, then Hammond stuff starts. Wade's still gone. He's front row, okay. Gabrielle Union is just sitting there by herself. You know what he's doing? He's changing. The dude went back and changed suits. So he sits down, and like Dirk reaches over and like hits him, is like cracking a joke at him. It's like, he's like laughing, like, dude, you really just went and changed suits?
Put on a white suit. Oh my gosh. Other things that stood out to me, him, the huge cheer from Mavs fans when he said, for the MFFLs, the Mavs fans, and there's a whole bunch of people in the room. And then there's that one lady, they actually put the camera like on her and changed the video to like center in on this one lady in the balcony that was screaming and pointing. And she's like, and Dirk was like, I hear you. Everyone hears you. Like funny.
Yeah. That was great.
If you're that MFFL, we want to talk to you. DM me, email me, however you get in touch. Yeah, I want to know. What was?
I'm not gonna lie. In the moment, I was like, "All right, who could put the muzzle?"
Oh, okay. No, you get one moment. One
opportunity. Let the dude talk.
This is the last. We've talked about this is the last chance to show your like adulation to Dirk, and that person did that.
True.
But great to hear that, and for him to give credit to to Mavs fans. The moment where he spoke in German to his parents was very moving to me.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like that kind of got me. Like
I had no idea what he was saying, but it was emotional.
No clue. But that and the Holger kiss, like blowing the kiss to him.
Yeah.
Like take my heart now. and honestly, I'll tell you something else that was like take my heart is when he got up to like go to the bathroom. I'm assuming. And seeing just like his stiff leg and his like, it's a task for him, to like, he can't move around fully 100% because, his ankle's still troubling him.
He had a couple other hilarious moments. One of them where he had this line planned, but he talked about Nash and Kidd and how those two were, so great in his career, Nash early on in their careers. And he's like, can you imagine when we first started that both of us would be here at this point? And he talked to, about Kidd and how they are forever bonded because of the title. And he goes, I would have loved to play with these two guys in their primes, but I had to live with what they gave me. just completely roasted them right up on the stage. They're up on the thing. So you have if you haven't watched it, you need to watch his speech. It's on YouTube already. I texted it out to the subtexters who we've been talking to all weekend. But
hey guys, I'm sorry. I had a whole plan tonight to like text y'all more, but I couldn't get my internet to work.
You couldn't even get a tweet off.
Oh.
But there's, they have a presenter, and so Dirk is up speaking, and then you have two presenters that are supposed to be there with you who are already in the Hall of Fame. They don't do anything. They just sit there and present and like support. And so it kind of works like a roast, or at least Dirk thought it worked like a roast where just roast those guys, which is kind of funny. It's also kind of a roast to the Mavericks for, hey, we had these guys that were past their prime, and then before their prime, you let them go. And wish we would have had those guys in their primes.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell if Dirk's thing about his teammates is like, yeah, I had over 200 teammates. I was like,
yeah, it's like good. Duncan's like I had like 100.
I actually had a decent chance to talk to a decent or some of his teammates tonight. Talk to some people on the red carpet. Talk to Jason Terry. Talk to Sean Marion. Had a funny moment with Roddy B earlier today. I've never talked to Roddy B in my life. Never seen him in person because that was like before my time doing Maverick stuff. And so I'm on the street. Okay, I'm on the street corner.
This is at the Hall of Fame.
This is at like a lot of players and people stayed at this hotel connected to this casino down the street. And I was walking through the casino lobby. Steve Nash walks by in his like hat and t-shirt and stuff. I'm like, oh, all right, there's people staying here. So I'm like standing on the street corner waiting to cross the street, and literally right next to me is Roddy B. And I was like looking at him, and I was like, Roddy? And he looks at me, and I was like, hey man, I was like, I do stuff with the Mavs and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, and he like lights up, and he has his phone out, and he was like, I said, what you up to? Because he's just like in shorts and a t-shirt,
like hanging out.
Yeah. And he was like, he's saying his French accent, but which I can't do. But he was like, he had his phone out, and he's like, I can't find my food. Where's my driver? And he's like showing me his phone to where his like driver, it's like Uber Eats driver says like he's like there. And he's like, look, I don't know where he's at. Like I'm trying to find, and I'm like looking around too. And I'm like, I tweeted this out. I've never related with an athlete more. Then like, where's my DoorDash driver? But it was just like a funny moment.
Have you seen the viral tweet right now of the guy that admitted that he spent $25,000 on like DoorDash and Uber Eats last year?
No way.
Do we think Roddy B is that guy?
I don't know. And then I asked a dumb question. I was like, hey, you going to the enshrinement tonight? I'm like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing for me to ask. I'm like, why else are you in the middle of nowhere?
You're one journalistic shot with Roddy B, and you asked him if he's going to the event. That's the only
It's not like I was like taping it or anything. It was just like, it was just funny that I just naturally went to that.
That's a good lesson for everyone out there. If you ever are in a situation where you're like, all right, I get one shot to ask somebody a question, you better have that question ready in your head.
Yeah,
because you'll just walk up to an athlete that you love, and they'll be trying to get their Uber Eats, and that's it. And then
can I tell a Rick Carlisle story real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Did he ask you about Thanksgiving?
So I talked to him twice over the past 2 days, but two different things. All right, so
he forgot you both times.
No. So we're at the. He's like, no, Nerlens is not here. So we're at the Mohegan Sun for the press conference thing, and so they have like this VIP. I want to say a reception, or it's the awards thing last night, and so they're all like walking, through this kind of like upstairs crosswalk area to this awards thing, and I just eaten dinner at the Michael Jordan Steakhouse, ate by myself, Ryan Russillo style, and so I'm like chilling, and I'm. And so then I'm walking, and different people are passing me. So I stop, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to chill here for a bit. So Rick's walking by. So he stops, and he's talking to somebody, and I'm walking, and then we like make this like awkward, like eye contact or something, which I don't expect Rick to know who I am or anything. Like, I mean, yes, we've interacted and all this stuff. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and he looks at me, I look at him. We're literally like a foot away from each other, like looking at each other. And I just like stick out my hand. We shook hands, and he says, good to see you. And I say, good to see you. And I like walk on, and I was like, did we just become friends? Did we just like squash everything? All right. Fast forward. Wait.
Was your first thought, was it actually good to see you?
I know. I'm like, but so let's fast forward to tonight. Okay. So I'm on the red carpet. Rick's coming through. He's with some people. For some reason, Rick stops, and he's like standing right next to me. Okay. But he's like looking the opposite direction. He's not like looking at me, but we're like, I mean, not less than 2 feet, shoulder to shoulder kind of. And I'm looking the opposite direction, but I know Rick's like right next to me, but I'm not saying anything. And so Dwayne Wade, shocking here, shows up late, and he gets out of his whole family, and everybody gets out of their like SUVs, and the whole red carpet just starts going nuts. Okay. Yeah. And everybody's crazy. There's a bunch of kids out there and all this stuff. And I don't know what made me do it, but I was just like, I've been standing next to Rick for a bit, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna make a joke. And I lean over. I was like, "Hey, was all that for you?" And Rick looks at me and goes, "Not to my knowledge." Walks right away from me. And I was like, "All right, cool. We'll probably never talk again until Indiana comes to town."
You didn't make a Wade
like,
2011 joke or anything like that, man.
No. I did make a joke to Jason Terry about, because Chris Bosh was there, and I was like, Jet, hey, I said, Chris Bosh just walked by, so when you see Bosh, you think about the lefty layup. And Jet, like, what's the Jesus juke for, like, Dallas juke? He like Dallas juked me and was like, no, I think of one of the best Dallas basketball players of all time that grew up in Dallas. I'm like, oh, crap. Well, now I feel bad. And
he didn't want to get aggregated.
No.
Another moment that stood out to me, Dirk talks about curiosity, and then he starts mentioning his kids. Soon as they put the camera on the kids on the broadcast, all three of his kids are looking in completely different directions. They're not looking at him at all. His one son is like laying in his wife's lap, like looking somewhere else. One kid's turned around. He's looking back at the people behind him. His daughter is like looking the other way.
Is that when he said, hey, I'm up here?
Yeah. They were completely looking the opposite way. I loved it. It was such like a moment. What Pop mentioned earlier, when you have grandkids or when you have kids, they become the center of attention.
That was my favorite part of his speech, man.
So good. And Dirk's kids, not not absolved from that either. Oh man. What else? What stood out to you in the room? Like, what was there a moving moment? Was there anything from anybody else's speeches or anything that stood out to you?
Becky Hammon's parents.
Can we talk about this for a second? Can we talk? Becky Hammon, who is a coach of the Aces. She took the Spurs owners like private jet, or no, the Aces owners private jet to go there. They played a game the night before, so she didn't get to do any of the opening stuff like yesterday. She gets to her Hall of Fame. This is a huge moment for her. She's from middle of nowhere, North Dakota, and grew up there, made it in the WNBA, became a coach, the first paid assistant, like female assistant coach in the NBA, and then now is coaching the best WNBA team we've seen in maybe a decade. And now she's in the Hall of Fame. And she thanks everybody in her family and everything. And she goes, my parents, who are somewhere in Africa, hunting animals or, whatever they're doing. Stop. Can we not gloss over that? What are Becky Hammon's parents doing? I need to know this.
That's more important than being there.
I mean, an Africa trip, that's cool. But like, I need to know what they're doing. Like, what are they doing instead of going?
I know, it just like took a turn super fast. I'll tell you who I think had the best speech of the night. Tony Parker.
Wow.
I thought Tony's speech was incredible. I thought it was so dang funny. I thought, the him and his dad moment got me. Just that emotional moment between the two.
He was about to cry.
Yeah, and I thought he straddled the fence so well of like being serious, but also dropping some incredible one-liners. But yeah, his was my favorite speech tonight. It was the first one. But
it's also 15 minutes. I've got minutes counter here because they're all on YouTube now. Tony's was 15 minutes. Dirk's was 16. Pau Gasol, who you said went long. You felt like that one was a little long. Okay,
so the angle I was setting at, I could see the teleprompter and the timer.
Yeah.
So I was kind of falling victim to the like, hey, I'm gonna like read it as
clock watch it. Yeah.
A little bit. So Pau's timer went off before he even got to the Lakers in his career timeline.
Yeah, he went chronologically.
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna be a bit here. Like, if I learned anything from the press conference, I was reminded how many teams Pau's been on. I was like,
yeah, he didn't even mention like Portland. He barely glossed over Chicago, and he was two-time All-Star for them. And
Spurs
then
for 3 years.
Spurs, yeah, he did mention the Spurs a little bit, but there's a million Spurs people there, so of course.
This was the Super Bowl for the Spurs, like for Spurs fans.
Oh yeah.
To see, I was trying to explain to my wife.
Well, they're all in now.
Yeah, as I was driving back, and I was like, I don't even know how to explain the magnitude if you're a Spurs fan to see the Admiral, Tony, Manu, and Tim on the stage
Pop
together with Pop like at the podium. Like,
this is your, I mean, besides George Gervin being up there, like this is your whole history. Like this is
their next one is, I mean, does Kawhi count? I guess Kawhi will get in, but their next one is probably Wembanyama.
But shout out to Wemby getting a whole like thing tonight from Ahmad Rashad. I was like, we're really dropping Wemby's name for Tony.
Ahmad Rashad is great. I love him.
He's incredible, man.
Ahmad Rashad, by the way, he had a little like intro for every player that he would say. And for Dirk, he talked about imitation is the highest form of flattery. He talked about the one-legged fade and like how his legacy will live on that. I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, I loved all of his. Yeah, all the one-liner. I don't even say it's one-liner.
Little intros. Also in that, so Madrashah does the intro. They play a video of a bunch of different stuff. They showed a bunch of stuff. The picture of Dirk playing tennis when he was a kid was awesome. I don't know if I'd seen that one before. And then Chris Bosh in the video talking about Dirk said he was always one step ahead of you. I thought that was such a great quote about what Dirk was. That like the preparation, like Dirk's preparation always kept him one step ahead. And for a competitor like Bosh, who played him in in that finals in 2011, to see that and to call that out, I thought was so good.
Yeah, and I was another person I talked to on the red carpet tonight was Boris Diaw, and he it's not like I sat there and chopped it up for 20 minutes with him, but we talked about his matchups with Dirk, and he's just going through what made it so hard for him to defend Dirk, and knowing that's like, all right, seeing the Mavs coming up like on the counters, like no, I got Dirk tonight, and just the beating it is to try to guard Dirk was just a reminder of that.
Anything else stand out to you? Oh, Dirk called the NBA the best sports league in the world, which I thought was high praise. Like he works for FIBA, he's been around the world, like he's lived in the US, he lives in Dallas where the NFL is king. Like he said, the NBA is the best sports league in the world. I thought that was huge.
Yeah, that is fascinating. I guess
right, like to think about him thinking about it like that.
Yeah,
incredible moments, great stuff. Yeah,
I'll tell you my favorite person I talked to tonight. Favorite person I got the chance to talk to was the first person I got to talk to, and it was the only person I was a little starstruck on. I was really looking forward to seeing Iverson, okay, but I didn't get the chance to talk to Iverson and stuff. But I got the chance to talk with Tony Kukoc, and it was just, I was like, holy crap! Like my first memories growing up was the Bulls and just seeing him do his thing with MJ and Scottie and them in the 90s. And so I got the chance to talk to him for a little bit and ask him about Dirk. And first time he saw Dirk play, and he referred to me as the kid and and all that. And but yeah, that was really cool to see him.
Kukoc was there presenting Pau Gasol. He was up there on the dais for him.
Yeah, and I didn't know he was presenting for Pau. I guess I just forgot that. But
Pau was supposed to have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar too, who's supposed to be there, and said he got sick, and so he wasn't able to be there, which is unfortunate. And then Wade had Iverson, and you mentioned you didn't get to talk to Iverson, but shout out to Iverson. He's always supporting like the next generation of NBA play. He came in with his suit with like the embroidered Wade and number 3 on the back of it. So cool.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think being at some of these events, like it's just the aura of it. It's just you got to be a sicko to enjoy this. You got to be a sicko to listen to this podcast, because guys, we see the numbers. Like a lot of people don't listen to these Hall of Fame shows. They a lot of Mavs fans, a lot of our listeners, they want to hear about Luka. They want to hear about this current team and rumors and all of that. But as a show about the Mavericks, we can't gloss over it, right? We talked about the other day, like this is arguably the second best moment in franchise history. And I can see a guy like Dirk, go through. And I think that's one of the biggest things of the weekend. And just I was sitting on stairs tonight, I didn't have a seat. I was just sitting on stairs, and it kind of reminded me of like the 30, I guess it was a 30K night. There's so much media there that I had to sit on stairs. It's one of those. And I'm just like looking around the room, and it's to see like famous people be treated like, like I'm sitting on stairs, and like 5 seats over from me is Sage Steele. And then like up in the balcony, and then like wrapped around the balcony, and like, oh, there's Jamal Mosley and his wife. And it's just like, oh, well, hey, like just they're like going past me as I'm trying to find my notebook. You know, Rick Carlisle's on row like 30, you know, and Avery Johnson's like in the dark.
Yeah,
over
he was
there.
way back.
And it's like, oh, there's Pat Riley. There's Vanessa Bryant. There's Gary Payton. There's Rob Pelinka and his family's walking past me. And it's like, and a person that I kind of, then I was like, man, I've never seen him in person, was Roy Williams. And, you know, I've been a huge Tar Heel fan for a long time. And I was like, oh, Roy.
John Calipari was there.
My grandpa. Yeah, I don't care about him.
Calipari was the tannest person in the whole building. He came
I'm
off.
like, where have you been for?
He came off dark on the stage.
Dick Pavetta was there. You know, and he had some sunglasses on. I was with Jimmy Goldstein today in the Hall of Fame, and it was funny seeing like kids walk up and ask for pictures from him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, do y'all know who Jimmy is? But in the there's an NBA super fan exhibit at the Hall of Fame, and there's this huge picture of him on the wall, and I'm like, you had to walk past this, and I wonder what you thought about this.
He's just hanging out by. Another really great moment was Jim Valvano's daughter giving the speech for him, and
that's good.
That's one. That's a speech like Jim Valvano's speech where like
never
give up, and then the 3 things you should do in a day. You should spend some time in thought. You should cry. You should laugh. Like for her to reiterate that and to bring it back, his speech is one I go back to once a year and just like watch and just sit through. It's such an incredible moment. He was battling cancer and he died of cancer, and so now he has the V Foundation that you've probably heard on ESPN where they try to support cancer research and a lot of things. So for him to bringing back that was just another reminder of how great that speech is.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed Coach Hickson's stuff. I love that, Coach Hickson is a D3 coach up at Amherst, and to hear Pop,
like 50 years.
What a moment. Yeah. I mean, Coach Hickson is a different one, but for Pop to look at Coach Hickson and say, Coach Hickson's, my hero.
Yeah.
D3, that I was like, dude, what a moment for him. But just the difference of like somebody wanting to achieve that in coaching instead of, some people like that would probably have the opportunities to move on, but to be able to stay at a spot like that for so many years and build a program and instilling these, things, characteristics into your players and people, it's just a, different. That's what makes this Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame so beautiful, that we're hearing about the 1976, women's Olympic team and the history behind that. And you're seeing, you get players that get elected in that, it's not just about Pau Gasol winning titles with Kobe. They're talking about his international play with Spain, and hearing Tony and Pau talk about their rivalries and, and international play and all of that. That's the cool thing about the Basketball Hall of Fame, that people are getting recognized all across the sport.
An incredible night. Dirk did the Mavericks and did Mavs fans and did you proud. He had an incredible speech. And I'll just be left with the knowledge of it and appreciating him. And hey, he's still going to be around the Mavericks, so we'll still have moments and he'll still be there and around. And if Jason Kidd gets his way, maybe he'll be at every practice, but but we'll see. And so appreciate everybody that's listening. If you've listened this far, we appreciate you. You're a real member of the Raccoon Squad. And shout out to everybody that was there or that watched tonight.
Yeah, and some of my work from the weekend, you could just follow me on Twitter. I might publish my journal from the weekend if you got to be a really sicko to, but I might just publish my journal and just some thoughts on the weekend, different stuff that I got to experience, people I got to see, and stuff like that. If you really just want to read about what it was like to be up here. And then I'm also working on something with the Mavs that I think a lot of you guys will enjoy when it comes out.
Awesome stuff. Come back safe. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out. Go Dirk, baby.
Boom. 41 forever.